Low and middle income individuals treat money very differently than wealthy individuals. But that's not all. Low and middle income individuals also treat debt differently than wealthy individuals. So the individuals who are middle class or low income tend to view debt as something that they can utilize to acquire things that they want to make their lives better. A lot of wealthy individuals utilize debt to create more wealth. So I'm going to, over the next, 10, 15 minutes, give you one thing that's going to help increase leverage for you so that you can also utilize debt to grow and create more wealth. So when it comes to leverage, there are a lot of individuals who are able to purchase things that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars, and they use little to no money down. So I'll start with what leverage is first. Leverage is your ability to be able to use a little bit of something to be able to affect something that's a lot greater. For example, when you purchase a house, most people don't have, let's just say, $400,000 to go and pay cash for a house, but you might have a 3.5% down payment, which would be $14,000. So you pay $14,000, and that $14,000 gives you leverage to be able to purchase something that's much bigger than what you can currently afford, i.e. the $400,000 house. But not only that, that home is appreciating at, let's just say on average, 4% year over year. So you have a $400,000 asset that's appreciating at 4% year over year. Well, 4% of that 400,000 is about $16,000 a year. That is more, the appreciation over 1 year is more than what your total down payment was to even get that asset. So that's leverage, is your ability to have something small be able to acquire and grow wealth for you for something that's much bigger than what you currently have invested in it. If you want to think of it in a cartoon sense, you may have seen the cartoons where you have a big boulder that needs to be moved and someone can't, there's a character that can't move the boulder. They're trying to push against it, can't move it. But then if you get a piece of wood and you stick it underneath the boulder, and then you get another rock and you put that rock right underneath that piece of wood that's close to the boulder, now you have what's called leverage. So with the same amount of force and energy that you couldn't move the rock with, now that piece of wood that you have gives you the leverage to be able to move something that's so much greater than what you were able to move, that what you weren't even able to move before. So in this episode, we're talking about how your credit can open up or give you the keys to access that leverage. I have seen so many individuals who have been able to purchase investment property without having to put any of their own money into it. And one of the reasons they're able to accomplish that is because they have really great credit. And credit can open up doors for you that you probably can't even imagine right now, because your level of thought is not at that level. Not yet, but the idea is that you're going to eventually get there, to the point to where it's just routine for you to just think on such a higher level of how to operate. So when I purchased my first home, I bought the house. I didn't have $400,000 to buy my first home with. So I ended up having to get a loan. Now, I was in the military at the time, so I used my VA benefits to get a VA loan, which did not have any down payment requirement, purchased the home, and long story short, kept that home. A decade later, it's more than doubled in price, which means that that's a lot of equity that's in that home now. However, I didn't have to go in, that didn't come from me making a whole lot of mortgage payments. That didn't come from me doing anything other than having great credit, which allowed me to be able to even be in the position to purchase the home, to be able to get qualified for the loan to purchase the home without having to make any down payment at all. So if you will work on positioning yourself to have great credit, it can open up doors for you that you aren't even aware of right now. For example, there are some individuals who, when they purchase a home, have to have what are called reserves. Reserves are equivalent to a month of mortgage payment. So for example, let's say that your monthly mortgage payment is $2,000 a month. 1 month of reserves is $2,000. 2 months of reserves is $4,000. 4 months of reserves would be $8,000. So you can kind of see reserves are equivalent to however many months of payments those reserves are. There are some individuals who, when they purchase a home, have to have reserves because their credit is not good, meaning that the lender that's loaning them the money, if they're willing to loan them the money, are only going to do it if that home buyer has money in the bank after they close, which will show that they have at least 3 months of reserves or 3 months of mortgage payments in the bank, so that if they fall on hard times, the lender knows that, hey, you're at least going to have something where we can continue to get paid the mortgage until you get back on your feet. Some individuals, they have to have more than that in reserves. But then there are some individuals whose credit is good enough to where they don't have to have any reserves. They can purchase a home, and when that home closes, they could have $0 in the bank, and the lender will still give them the loan based on the fact that their credit profile is good. And your credit is nothing more than a snapshot in time, which demonstrates to a lender your ability to be able to make on-time monthly payments for whatever debts that you owe. That's all that a lender really cares about. Credit is risk, and it displays risk. So if you have great credit, you are a low risk to a lender. If you have low credit, you are a higher risk. And if your credit is low enough, or you have enough derogatory items on your credit, then your risk level becomes so high that a lender is not willing to take a chance on loaning you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it makes sense, right? I mean, we all know of at least one person that you've known in your life who you would not loan money to because you know they're not going to pay you back. You know they're going to blow the money on something, and you're never going to see it again. And if you don't know that person, you probably are that person. But in any case, there is someone there usually who you can empathize with that situation or sympathize with that, scenario of knowing someone who is like, oh, I wouldn't give them a dime because I know that they're going to blow it and I'm never going to see that money again. A lender is looking at every individual that they could potentially make a loan to in the same way. Everything is about risk, and they want to know everything about your employment, everything about your debt, your other debts that you pay, everything about your income that you receive. And they want to know about your history with repaying debt, which is that snapshot in time of your credit profile. So when it comes to purchasing, let's just say investment properties, because I'm going to jump around a little bit here. You can actually purchase an investment property regardless of how much money you make. And you can also purchase it even if you don't have a job. A lender will loan you money to purchase a home, and they'll loan you hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase a home as an investment property, even if you don't have a job. It seems crazy, but you might be thinking, what are the criteria then? If you've got enough money to cover the down payment, and if you've got a high enough credit score. And you might be thinking, well, of course, you got to have enough money to cover the down payment. But guess what? If you've got a high enough credit score, there are individuals that will loan you the money to cover the down payment. So you can actually get a loan for the money to cover the down payment if your credit score is high enough. And then you can take that money and go and purchase a home with it, even if you don't have a job. And you can rent that home out and utilize the rent money to make the mortgage payments. If you have any left over, that's money in your pocket. There's so many different ways that you can work this deal in real estate, but it all comes back to this key that I'm hinging everything on in this episode, which is getting your credit to a point to where now you have all of these doors open to you in terms of how you can save money. So let's just take it in the practical sense of you purchasing a primary residence that you're going to be living in. Someone who has great credit is more likely going to be approved for the loan. Someone who has great credit also is going to have a higher approval amount than someone who doesn't have good credit. Someone who has great credit is also, if they're going conventional, they're going to pay less for mortgage insurance. They're also likely going to get better interest rates and better pricing for those interest rates. They are also going to have access to more loan programs, more options that are out there available to them. They're also going to pay less for homeowners insurance because, yes, when you go to get insured or when you go to call around to different insurance agents to get that home insured, they do a soft credit pull. And if you've got great credit, then that plays in your favor in terms of you potentially getting a better homeowners insurance rate. So there are so many areas where you're going to be saving thousands and potentially tens of thousands of dollars over the course of the next few years simply by taking the time to invest in your credit and making sure that your credit is great, because that's going to feed into so many other things. So a lot of people, again, on the low and middle income side of things, view credit and view debt as, oh, well, credit allows me to the opportunity to be able to get into debt to acquire some things that I want, which would make my life better, make my life nicer, allow me to show off a little bit in front of some friends, allow me to take some trips that I want to take, buy some things that I'd like to buy, eat at restaurants that I don't normally get to eat at, or fancy restaurants that I'd like to be able to eat at, things that they would like to do to benefit themselves, essentially. Wealthy individuals tend to utilize debt, and I'm talking massive amounts of debt, to create more wealth. You even look at the largest companies in the world with Apple. Apple has billions of dollars of debt. You look at Microsoft, you look at all of these large companies, a lot of them are not running or operating business debt free. They have lots of debt that they carry. And so with that, if you take a lesson from individuals who are wealthy and look at how they leverage debt to create and to grow and to build wealth, that's something that you can start modeling after now. And one of the ways that you can start gaining access to the type of leverage that they have to be able to create the wealth that can be created through leveraging debt and knowing how to leverage it is by working on your credit score, because part of leveraging debt means you have to have someone who's willing to loan you money in order to leverage it against something that's going to help you to grow your money. You need to have good credit in order for a lender to, or an investor to say, you know what, I'm going to invest in that. You have a great pay history. They don't know you, you don't know them, but simply off the fact that you have great credit shows or demonstrates to them that, you know what, if I give you this $500,000, I believe you're going to pay me back, because based on your credit history, you pay your debts. And that's what it comes down to. So spend time to actually do the things that are going to help improve your credit score. Two things that I'll mention because it's what forms the majority of your FICO credit score: payment history and amounts owed. Payment history is 35% of your FICO credit score. Amounts owed is 30% of your FICO credit score. So those two things form 65% of your FICO credit score, which is the majority of it. You just paying bills on time and keeping your credit card balances low. Those two things alone will do more for you than a lot of other things. And credit goes so much deeper than those two things. I actually have a course that I'm going to be coming out with to teach and train and educate individuals on how to better improve their credit, things that they can do now if your credit is on the, on the bad side, things that you can do now to within 6 months, within 8 months, be able to get your credit to a point to where now your credit is looking good and you can actually get a loan to be able to purchase a home. So I'm going to stay tuned because I'm actually going to be putting out more information about that credit course, which is coming up in the near future. However, things that you can start doing right now, just making sure every single bill gets paid on time. Make sure that you keep your credit card balances low. And those two things alone will help you to start moving in the right direction. Again, credit goes a lot deeper. There's a lot of other things that can also help benefit you and a lot of other things that you should know that can really play into you being able to manage your credit profile much better. But sticking with those two things will do a lot in terms of helping you to, again, improve the credit, which is going to give you the keys that will allow you to access leverage. And that leverage is what you need in order to start doing what, again, wealthy people are doing, which is utilizing that leverage, utilizing that debt to create massive amounts of wealth. So that's what I have for you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. Do like and subscribe to the podcast. Stay tuned because, again, I am switching up the platform a little bit and I'm going to start bringing on some interviews from real estate professionals, financial professionals. There are going to be some really, really good interviews from subject matter experts in their field, and you're not going to want to miss what they have to teach you because it's really going to be some things that can help better your life. So I'm all about trying to provide more value to you, and that is what is on the horizon. So stay tuned, take care, be blessed. See you in the next episode.